There is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9. Across civilizations separated by millennia and oceans, we keep seeing the same symbols, the same architecture, and the same obsession. The obsession of the stars, serpents, giants, sacred geometry, and a promise of a golden age. Folks, before we jump into this, let me just say this. Welcome back, fellow watchers on the wall and friends and family of the internet. We're almost in 2026, and I want to talk to you about something I keep seeing popping up. I just got notification that Truth Social is going to be launching something called ETFs. These are five America First themed exchange traded funds on the New York Stock Exchange on December 30th, 2025. Now, what makes these interesting to me, you might ask? Well, one, these things are backed. The ETFs are sponsored and advised by Yorkville America Equities under the Truth FI brand of Trump Media and Technology Group. The firms said additional equity and digital asset based ETFs are planned for 2026. That's what caught my attention. Digital assets. They're getting rid of money. And in case you haven't noticed, the penny's going. No more. I'll give you a penny for your thought. None of that. Pennies are going. Now I know they cost more to make than they're worth. But what is next? Dimes, nickels, quarters, dollars? Yeah, everything is fixing to be on a digital asset. That's it. Everything will be digitally tokenized. I keep trying to warn people that people don't want to listen to Samantha. But let's get into this. Did you know that President Trump has repeatedly told Americans that he's going to not only make America great again, he's going to bring us into something called the golden age. But I need to warn you about what that really is. So let me pull all this up for you guys. And by the way, if you have New Year's Eve plans anywhere in the world, you better check before you spend time going, friends and family. And I would highly advise you stay home this year. Cities around the world cancel New Year's Eve celebrations after credible terror threats. Parties to ring in 2026 are now being canceled around the world following two foiled terror plots allegedly targeting celebrators. Now, it says a number of cities around the world are canceling New Year's Eve parties amid credible fears of terror attacks, ringing in the start of 2026. You will remember that last year, ringing in 2025, I was in Seattle with my family, and there was a terror attack in New Orleans. So the mass party dumping comes in the wake of an FBI raid that allegedly foiled a terror plot to be carried out in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve. That's not it. It's happening all around the world. The FBI director, Kash Patel, has since confirmed a fifth person from the same group has now been arrested from the same alleged extremist group. The person was detained in New Orleans for allegedly planning a linked but separate attack on people down there celebrating New Year's. As it stands, Los Angeles and New Orleans officials have not announced any plans to cancel New Year's Eve gatherings, but several others have. Just wanted you guys to know that. In Paris, the concert scheduled for New Year's Eve has been scrapped. In Sydney, Australia, the New Year's Eve pyrotechnics have been scrapped. I'm going down to see Tokyo. Much like Paris, Tokyo officials scrapped the scheduled New Year's Eve countdown. I mean, I'm just saying, friends and family, I thought we were supposed to be moving into a golden age. And all I'm seeing is you and I lose our ability to move freely. I see a lot of, digital IDs and more security, but I don't see them removing the terrorists. And who are the terrorists? Well, it's not American citizens per se. It's sleeper cells, people who were in the military. Unfortunately, I have sons in the military. So this is a hard topic for me sometimes. But they use our military, they MK Ultra them, and then the Black Awakening happens. They trigger something and these guys go bazonkers, but most of them have already been tied to Islamic extremist groups. So my question is this: why are we allowing Muslims into the Western world? Because everywhere they are, there are terrorist attacks. How is this going to usher us into a golden age when we don't have any freedom? Oh, wait, because that's what truly the golden age is. So let me show you guys. Satanists believe if they tell you what they are doing, if they make their intentions clear and you still adhere to them, that they are no longer responsible for the negative karmic consequences. That is true. So let me show you. Let me just show you this for a second. I want you to look carefully at this old architecture. Just look at it. Do you really believe people in the early 1800s who had nothing but a piece of wood or a small mallet made out of metal, but no power tools, could create these types of buildings? Look at this. Does anybody believe that that is historically accurate? That people who had not developed electricity, airplanes, or anesthesia built this? They built this, right? Those people. They didn't have TV, but all across the world they built these magnificent buildings. That's what we're going to believe? Okay, I mean I did for a time because that's what I was told in school. But I'm going to show you who built that. Just hang in there. We're about to hear nonstop talk about the world awakening and people uncovering hidden truths. But this is Satan's counterfeit revelation, a deceptive unveiling, much like the Garden of Eden, where he offers secret knowledge. Through mass disclosure, truths will be mixed with lies, and they will lead people away from God's truth. Now, we're going to unveil some things in this video, so get ready. This one right here hits hard. Church, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time to pray for discernment and to do your own research. The golden age is the time envisioned by occultists and secret societies as the culmination of their long term plans to usher in a new era of enlightenment, unity, and societal transformation. This is the deception Jesus warned us about. Wake up now. Jesus is coming. Let me show you guys what I found. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, God ripped the scales off my eyes. And I realized that MAGA, the acronym, if you remove the dots, it's no longer an acronym, it is a word. And on everybody's hat and everybody's t-shirts and all of our paraphernalia, it said MAGA, M-A-G-A. There were no dots, all right? MAGA means worshipers of the sun god. Now, that doesn't maybe mean much to you yet, but hear me out, friends and family. So God took me from there, and then he showed me that in the Kabbalah, all right, there was something called a golden age. That was the period of time that the watchers, the fallen angels, were here on earth. It was pre Noah's flood. Okay. Then we see President Trump propping up Erica Kirk as the new divine feminine, and not just Trump, everyone. Then you have the Noahide laws coming into play with the Abrahamic Accords. I was under an illusion too, friend. So I'm not being judgmental, but I must show you the real truth. Freemasonry. Masons were created to worship the master builder gods of the original golden age, which were the fallen angels. The Greeks, the Greeks had a golden age. Babylon was not just a city, it was a system. It was built to reach into heaven and it aligned with astronomy, not just worship. The gods came from the stars, the fallen little g gods. Humanity was engineered, this is pre flood, to serve them. Bloodlines mattered more than belief. Babylon was obsessed with astrology, blood purity, and divine kingship. Their tablets describe humans as fashioned from the flesh of the gods. They're talking about a genetic language. If you look across from Babylon to Mesoamerica to Egypt and then finally into Peru, you see the same symbology: serpent gods, dragon bloodlines, twin helix imagery, feathered serpents. The serpent was never just an animal, it symbolized knowledge, transformation, and genetic alteration. The double helix appears in Sumerian art, Egyptian reliefs, Hindu iconography. Yet, we're told that it was only discovered 40 years ago, long before microscopes. Ancient cultures depicted DNA structures intertwined with gods and stars. Nowhere is this more physically apparent than Peru. And the reason I want to talk about Peru is something else I noticed. The new Roman Catholic priest, Pope, he has ties in Louisiana, in New Orleans, Louisiana. He's from Chicago, but he also carries a Peruvian citizenship. So he's an American citizen with a Peruvian citizenship, and he's Pope. All right. He was heavily influenced by the Dominican order for social justice and stuff, but the Dominican order in Peru has covered up all the old sun god temples with Roman Catholic cathedrals. This is very important because there's a place, and I may butcher this name, so just forgive me, called, let me see if I can find, I wrote it down because I was like, I'm never going to be able to say that. Succosashawan. I know that's wrong, but let's go with it. Succosashawan. They have stones there that weigh 100 tons. They're cut with like laser precision. They are earthquake proof. They were built without mortar. And the local Inca tradition says the giants built it in the golden age. So, why am I telling you this? Because America is actually known as the land of the plumed serpent. And the god that was worshiped in America pre flood and then after flood was the sun god. Inca is known as the home of the gods. Peru is, right? The Inca believed that. This arcane knowledge and the fact that they believe that Peru is the navel of the world due to the tunnels, over 300 miles of underground tunnels that were built by the giants and the fallen angels that run underneath all of these ancient sites that the Roman Catholic Church took control of. What do you think they found down there? Well, they found a lot of gold because if you go to Peru, in the Catholic churches, the gold that you see around was actually the Incas' gold that they melted down to make icons to the Diana, that they call Mary. Don't buy the lie from the pit of hell. This golden age is in direct opposition to God's plan. It represents the very deception Jesus warned us about, where humanity turns away from God in favor of false promises of peace and unity. We are approaching the tipping point where God's prophetic timeline is colliding with the false Luciferian timeline. Let me explain. The origins of the Golden Age. This is nothing new. The enemy has been working for thousands of years on this. This so called Golden Age dates back to the Tower of Babel and Nimrod, whose defiance of God laid the groundwork for a unified, godless world system. Satan inserted this into ancient mythology, particularly Greek and Roman religions, prophesizing the return of Apollo, the son of Jupiter, Zeus. It is believed Apollo will return to the earth through a mystical life granted by the gods when the deity Saturn Jupiter reigns over a new pagan golden age. We very well know that this is none other than the son of Satan, the Antichrist, coming to reign on earth. What do they believe? Secret societies such as the Freemasons, particularly those steeped in occult or esoteric traditions, believe humanity is on the brink of a spiritual evolution, culminating in the return of ancient gods or powerful supernatural entities. Apollo, Antichrist. They are convinced that the Golden Age will bring peace, knowledge, and advancement, harmony, abundance, and spiritual enlightenment. We very well know that this is counterfeit utopia, a deceptive inversion of God's kingdom. This all translates into the fourth industrial revolution that we see today. Now, in case you do not know, the fourth industrial revolution is a Carl Schwab thing. It is a World Economic Forum thing. It is a United Nations sustainability thing. It means that AI and robots will take the majority of jobs. And I just recently saw that President Trump was talking about all these new jobs started in America. And then I realized that the majority of those new jobs can be filled with AI and robots. By the way, please make sure you hit the like button, you comment, you hype it if you can. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you haven't done so, please consider purchasing our book, Growing Under a Poison Sky. All right, so as you saw, iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. Daniel 2:43. Transhumanism, the merging of technology with the human body and the integration of humans with machines. AI and automation, technologies designed to transform global systems, job markets, efficiency, and human interactions are subtly enslaving humanity. So we know they want to go to Mars. That's all you hear Elon Musk talk about. It's all you hear the Mormons talk about, right? So the goal is to extend humanity's presence to space, fulfilling the dream of becoming multiplanetary. We've seen all this play out front and center with Elon Musk and Klaus Schwab's vision of the fourth industrial revolution. Hint, Donald Trump's 2025 inauguration had an unusually high turnout of tech moguls and CEOs, way more than we've seen at previous inaugurations. We had Elon, we had Bezos, we had Zuckerberg, right? We had Shou Zichu, we had Sam Altman, and Sundar Pichai, which is Google. And we had Tim Cook, which is Apple. What's their plan? The Golden Age involves the establishment of a centralized global government where elites control every aspect of life. This is called technocracy. Okay. Now, I have a whole playlist on technocracy if you want to deep dive this, the fourth industrial plan, how they're taking control, how they're tokenizing our money. I have a whole playlist on that. Their goal is to create a system in which all nations are under a single spiritual and political authority. This plan requires ushering in a new world order. where the ruling elite manipulate society and global events to bring about this new age. It represents the unification of all religions under a universal spiritual system. And what will that system be? Well, it will be the Abrahamic religions. It will be Judaism mixed with Christianity, mixed with Islam. Now, they will use Sharia law as their banking system. Right now, across the world, 1/3 of all banking transactions run through a Sharia law bank. Unfortunately, President Trump has accepted billions of dollars from the UAE, from Dubai, from all those places in the Middle East. And he's going to tokenize America's assets. America has over $400 trillion in assets. If you add up our land, our water, our oil, our people. Now, okay, let's keep going. Where do I want to? Okay. So every culture speaks of a golden age. You had one in Babylon, the age of the gods, one in Greece, the age of the Titans. The Norse golden age will happen right before Ragnarok, which will also pop off with the worst winter ever. And then the gods and the giants will fight again. And then it'll be the end of days, right? Characteristics are always the same. The giants walked the earth, lifespans were elongated, knowledge was advanced, humanity was altered. If you heard the hot mic between the Russian and Chinese president when they were discussing extending the human life by 30 years simply by changing the organs, you understand how close we are to this golden age, right? Genesis 6 describes this moment plainly. There were giants in the earth in these days. The golden age ended in judgment. This golden age that we are being ushered into right now will end in Armageddon. Babylon didn't disappear, it simply migrated. Revelation calls it Mystery Babylon the Great. It is not a city, it is a system. So on Trump's first full day in office, he announced Stargate Project, a 500 billion initiative over 4 years for AI infrastructure across the US involving OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. The project aims to build the data centers to support AI development. This translates into increased capacity for the government to monitor, regulate, and influence aspects of daily life and governance through AI. So, what do you guys think? Because I'm going to let you hear Trump say it for himself. AI, as I mentioned earlier, the secret society and occultists are awaiting the arrival of Apollo or the Antichrist. They believe that Apollo or Apollyon will return as a leader to bring this supposed utopian age. This aligns with Revelation 9:11, which refers to Apollyon as the king of the bottomless pit. Apollo was the destroyer, the exterminator, the redeemer, bright like the sun. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. But in the Greek tongue, his name was Apollyon. Check this out now. Why did they hold the inauguration in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda? Interesting enough, the U.S. Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. holds significant symbolic importance, particularly in relation to mythology and the occult surrounding Apollo. The dome features a renowned fresco titled The Apotheosis of Washington. Painted in 1865, this artwork depicts George Washington ascending to godhood, encircled by Roman deities, including Apollo. The rotundo is more than a political symbol, viewing it as a ritualistic space intended to invoke the power and return of these ancient deities, especially Apollo. Secret societies such as the Freemasons deliberately incorporated these symbols into American architecture to align with their esoteric version or vision of a new world order. This dome can be seen as a spiritual gateway for the return of the divine entities. If you've been here this long, On X, you've seen that MAGA, which means magician, is the highest degree of the satanic priesthood, a degree he received in 2010. He is also connected to the occult belief that he is a magician who will transform the world. In the world of masonry, he's viewed as the one who will usher in the golden age. The golden age of America begins right now. His last statement was, "The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun." The golden age is simply Tower of Babel 2.0, where Nimrod's attempt to unify humanity in defiance of God mirrors the goals of modern elites. We are at the end. Their prophecy of Apollo, our prophecy of the antichrist, the son of Saturn or Satan coming, and the Bible prophecy of the Son of God coming are colliding. This is none other than the Antichrist ushering in the 7-year tribulation and Satan's full reign with no restraint. Wow. I know, friends. I know. I'm going to let you hear him say it.
The golden age of America begins right now.
The golden age of America begins right now. I mean, I know, guys. I know. Some people aren't going to want to believe it. Some are going to think I'm making too much out of it. I don't know. This is where the Lord has brought me, and I'm going to trust God. So, modern Babylon speaks the same language: biodigital convergent, genetic editing, artificial intelligence, transhumanism. Heaven and earth are being merged. The veil is thin. It's thin, friends and family. Charlie Kirk even said, "We talk about a golden age in America. I'm an evangelical Christian, but I pray the new pope will help usher in a new golden age of Christianity." Really? That's why I keep trying to tell you guys, Charlie Kirk was into this ecumenical nonsense, this one world religion. He didn't care if you were Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Mormon, Roman Catholic. He did not care. Okay, let me find out. Okay, so let's get into these megaliths. Oh, and this is the last thing I want to show y'all. Golden age equals golden dawn of the new age of Aquarius movement. It is, in fact, Luciferian. Those who study the dark occult for discernment purposes are aware of this. It is the New World Order. So, the magician of the Golden Dawn, all right, Aleister Crowley, which Trump put his statue back up in Washington. All right. I'm telling you guys, this is much worse than you realize. And then when you go to the whitehouse.gov, right here it says President Donald J. Trump. This is the whitehouse.gov official White House site. Sunday shows the golden age of America is here, March 9th, 2025. I'm just showing you it's everywhere. Now I want to show you this. Let's talk about megaliths, because the thing about megaliths is that humans couldn't have built this. All right. The building of all of these structures that survived the flood, they were built by fallen angels. These fallen angels had technology and knowledge that you and I don't have. Their knowledge and technology did not survive the flood, but the megaliths did. This is where master masonry, Freemasons came from. These were the builder gods of the golden age. This is where you get Stonehenge, the monoliths in Siberia. Every continent has them. Some of them are buried underground or have sunken into the oceans. All right, so where am I at? In modern America, language matters. When Donald Trump repeatedly says we are entering into a new golden age, he is admitting that there once was another golden age. So let's unravel the mysteries of behind the megalithic stone walls of Saskatchewan. I know I said it wrong. It's okay. I'm close enough. So this place is out of Cusco in Peru. It is a walled complex. The site is framed for its remarkable large dry stone walls with boulders that people say were carefully cut. But I want to show you something. Look at these stones. They actually believe that somehow the giants and the fallen angels had knowledge that we today don't have. If you look closely, these these have no mortar. They can withstand earthquakes, and they can withstand a flood that flooded the earth because they did. The thing about them is these weren't necessarily cut. They believe these stones were soft when they were put into place. In other words, these things were cut out of a mountain, taken down a mountain, across a river, back up a hill, and then stacked into place. A lot of these weigh about 100 tons per stone. Some of them are a ton, some are 10, but they're ones that are so big, they're taller and wider than your house. What carried those? The giants. Now, the thing is, they believe that these stones, the giants and angels had knowledge, and these stones were softened when they were put in place. And as they stacked, it sealed because the softness just kind of, and it grew hard over time. All right. Because they're so tightly placed that you couldn't put a piece of paper through them. Now, I want to show you. So it says here the following sequence of photos using scale models been able to very accurately transfer the shape of stones in the megalithic walls. They're trying to say that they could use all this technology to get those to fit. Guys, no. No. Next thing I want to show you is this. Who defines the golden age? Who benefits from it? Mass surveillance is dangerous. Mass surveillance is dangerous for American communities reforming the Section 702 spying regime. The government uses Section 702 as a warrantless backdoor into Americans' private communications. The FBI has admitted that they have collected and stockpiled enormous amounts of Americans' international communications, including texts, emails, phone calls, chats on social media platforms. While the law requires this surveillance to be directed at people overseas, the government casts such a wide net that it invariably sweeps up Americans, including many who are communicating with family members, friends, and business contacts abroad. The government uses Section 702 as a warrantless backdoor into America's private communications, where the government's initial targets are hundreds of thousands of foreigners overseas. Agents routinely turn around and search through the resulting pool of data for messages of individual Americans. They're admitting that you are always being surveilled. Throughout history, the golden ages always followed a collapse. They promise restoration. They come with centralized authority. The question is not political, it is symbolic. Jesus warned us, as it was in the days of Noah, so it shall be also in the days of the Son of Man. Luke 17:26. The days of Noah were marked by genetic corruption, hybrid beings, advanced knowledge, moral collapse. The megaliths of Peru are not relics, they are warnings in stone. Babylon's stars still speak. The giant's architecture still stands, and the golden age is being promised again. The only question left is this restoration or repetition? History doesn't repeat itself because it forgets. It repeats itself because humanity remembers too late. Remember, I was telling you that your modern day actors and actresses have bloodlines that stretch back to pre flood? Listen up. I'll link all of this for you guys. I tripped over this gentleman today and I was mind blown.
You might have a little bit more time on your hands before you're integrated into the system. But that process might be unfolding right now. Look at Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan. Who knows? By the time that American society had evolved to the point where when Bruce Paltrow, that's her father, who died fairly young, but he was only 58 years old, he died like a minch. He bore it stoically, just like his father, whose name was Buster, by the way. So he was some hard-ass dude, and his grandfather, and he died of throat cancer, man. He was 58 years old. That was Bruce Paltrow. But the point is, see, I'm the same generation, but I witnessed in my own lifetime how the barriers against Roman Catholicism dropped to the point where John Fitzgerald Kennedy could be elected to the presidency of the United States of America. In the same way with Jews. The barriers were lowered. Right. Where it comes to the yellows, it still hasn't happened yet because we don't matter. We're not even in the picture. We're just somebody that you can just kind of take for granted. Right. Just like when you go to the pharmacy and there's a yellow woman there filling your prescription, you can take her for granted. You go to the hospital, you see nothing but yellow, you see nothing but Filipinas, but they're serving you. So you're like Gwyneth Paltrow. They don't exist for you. Just like the British Prince Andrew. Do you think his domestic help registered to him as human beings? No, they don't. So the Paltrow family had gone through that, and by the time you have supposedly the Danners and the Paltrows coming together, this social prejudice had dropped, so it's a non-issue. But my argument is that it's still an issue. It's not as salient as it is as it was in the past, but there's still a bloodlines eugenic component to the rise of one Gwyneth Paltrow, right? She's the product of a breeding program, and this is one of the reasons why she has been allowed to rise to the top and to maintain that status for as long as she has. And beyond, if she plays it right, she will have matron status like your Jacqueline Onassis or Schlossberg, as she later became. And she was part Jewish to begin with herself, Onassis, right, through the Alkenklaus family. So there's all these different tributaries, racial, ethnic, religious, that run through the power elite of American society. That's why I was never satisfied by using the terminology of so-called ethnic studies. Oh, it's white. This is white privilege. That's black. That's Asian. This is yellow. That's Latino. That's Latinx. It's a lot more complex than that. It's been oversimplified purposely for control primarily, but there are other reasons for that as well. So here's a quick preview of the working conditions of Gwyneth Paltrow, her office of Goop, we're talking about now, 00. I'm trying to look for the Kabbalistic significance or symbology of the 00. Maybe you can tell me. I mean, I know the definition of Goop. I think it's a sort of a Sabbatean, Frankist, intentional insult, like pissing on people and telling them, oh, don't worry, it's just raining. Right? We want you to slather your face with goop, with crap, with crud, with schmutz. That's a Yiddish word as well. And you're going to pay us for that. You're going to pay us a lot of money. And you're going to put a so-called Oriental. So this is how the Orientals and the yellow people fit in. We're sort of a fashion accessory to people like Gwyneth Paltrow. We'll get your jade egg and you can put it in your pussy and you're going to pay it for us. Looks like something like this. I didn't realize they had one. It's just quartz.
I didn't know he was going to say that. But let's be honest. He's talking about Kabbalistic dark magic, and we are adults. So I do apologize because I didn't listen that far. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. And normally, if I was at home, I'd just listen because I know I'm an adult and I can do that. Now, this I found, and I hope they let me play this. I hope they do not make me go back and clip it out like they do with certain stuff so that then you have to go search it out yourself. That's just how they control, right? This is a 1962 Bell System Science video. I want you to hear what they just fixing to say. Everybody talks about Q and how President Trump is a white hat. He's a white hat, Samantha. That is a psyop, and I'm going to prove it to you right here. 1962.
Now, to set the stage for our story about time, suppose we imagine a brand new planet. There. We'll give it a name, Planet Q. And the people there, as we imagine them, will be normal, intelligent people, except for one strange thing. They don't know much about time, and their king would like to set the clock.
Holy smokes, friends and family of the internet. Come on, Jesus. Come on, Jesus. Let me tell you why this is important. I did the video for you guys about Ingersoll Lockwood and the 1900, The Last President. Now, there's an Ingersoll Lockwood military site, a website. Go look it up. Ingersoll Lockwood wrote a book about the last president and time travel. Now, the interesting thing is that Donald Trump's uncle worked for the FBI. And when Nikola Tesla died, they raided his New York apartment and took his information for time travel. Now, I have showed you that the occult is using this terminology, golden age, the new golden age, to usher in the antichrist. And Trump is steadily, whether God is using him or not, I would not change my vote because I could not have voted for Kamala Harris. I couldn't have. God told me no, which meant I had to vote for Trump. I take that. God can use anybody. The Bible says he dumps rain on the just and the unjust alike. But you guys, listen to this.
Suppose we imagine a brand new planet. There. We'll give it a name, Planet Q. And the people there, as we imagine them, will be normal, intelligent people, except for one strange thing. They don't know much about time, and their king would like to set the clock.
Sir? Are we ready to set the clock? Very well. Let the clock be set.
Yes, sir. But where will I put the hands?
Well, What time is it? If you don't know, find out.
Yes, sir. Before we go on with the story, there's one more thing we've imagined here on Planet Q, an observatory. And inside of it, this. We'll call it an Earth scope. We'll use it to examine some of the things that people on Earth have found out about time. Come in.
Hello. Say, we've run into a little problem. I wonder if you could answer a question. The king wants to know, What time is it?
Oh, yes. What time would he like it to be?
Oh, the correct time. You see, we're setting our clock so that we can do everything on time.
Well, tell him to set it any place he likes.
Thank you. Any place?
That's right. Well, let's see. Suppose we use the Earth scope screen. Bring the Earth into focus. See what time it is down there.
Is that the correct time?
It is for London, England.
But what time is it?
They call it noon. That also happens at what they call midnight.
Well, is midnight before or after noon?
12 hours after or 12 hours before. It all depends.
On what?
Whether you're talking about yesterday or tomorrow.
But they had to start somewhere. How did they go about it?
The rhythms of nature probably gave man his first awareness of time. Man must have observed the recurrence of natural phenomena, the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. He noticed that these events in the heavens seemed to coincide with events on Earth. The spring and the rains. The summer growth of leaves. The autumn ripening of fruit. He thought the moon, sun, and stars controlled his crops. This was understandable because to him, sun, the moon, and the stars were gods. People began studying the heavenly bodies. As they made notes of their changing positions, the science of calendar making began.
Built to reach into the heaven, the Tower of Babel went, aligned with astronomy, not just worship. It functioned as Stargate, ritual observation platforms. They believed the gods came from the stars. Humanity was engineered to serve them, and bloodlines mattered more than belief.
Almost every civilization labored to devise a workable calendar. Some of them were based on the cycles of the moon. Others on the movements of the sun. But none of them came out just right. Even the Gregorian calendar, the one used today, is not perfect.
Wouldn't you think by now they'd have a perfect calendar?
Oh, it's not so easy.
And I would say that is the real question. By now, wouldn't the occult have a perfect calendar? I mean, we are talking about the occult. The same ones that write the history books and teach us a watered down, nonsensical science. Trust the science. Trust the science. I learned more in my elementary earth science class than high schoolers learn in biology now. And that's the truth of it. We think that we're enlightened, but really, we're extremely uneducated to our forefathers. My dad's folks couldn't read. They were truly illiterate. My grandparents could not read, nor could they write. My grandmother taught herself to read from her Bible. However, my grandfather could not only build things, he knew how to feed his family without all this fancy stuff that you and I must go buy. My grandmother knew how to sew. She knew how to doctor. She knew how to birth babies and slaughter pigs. But they understood something that you and I don't. They also could smell BS a mile off. But you and I are in a life where people like Nick Shirley are propped up to look organic, and it's hard to decipher. I wasn't being ugly when I asked, how does a 24-year-old that does not have children, that lives in Utah, runs around with his mom making YouTube videos. How does he know about daycares in Minnesota not having children? Now I know. Finally, somebody said, well, a guy told him about it. Well, then I also found that in 2018, Minnesota knew about this. They've known about this fraud since 2018. And then somebody else said, well, Trump is using him to to show the fraud. That may be smarter than you think, friend. All I'm saying, these people are not organic. They're not. They're plants. They're controlled opposition. They're there to say, look, America, Tim Walz wouldn't do anything about it. But if the federal government's known about it since 2018, why didn't they do something about it? And if Trump has known about it since he came into office, why didn't he do anything about it? You guys notice nobody's gotten arrested for anything? It's been a year, friends and family. Nobody has gotten arrested for anything. Nobody. Let me say that again. We were told they were going to drain the swamp. He was going to take on the globalists and the shadow government. Funny, he never talks about that anymore. No. Mm-mm. But he did bring peace to the Middle East. And we know what the Bible says about that. I love you guys. I appreciate your time, you being here with me, learning this information with me. I think the biggest thing is that the age of corruption was before the flood. So it makes sense to me that if Jesus is going to come back in the days of Noah, which was pre flood, we have to look like the days of Noah. And when our president is using the same terminology as the sun gods, little g, fallen gods, mythology, the new golden age, when that same phrase comes back into play, we have to be aware of what they actually mean, what it all actually means. If you don't know Jesus as your Savior, let me introduce you to him real quick. He's amazing. He doesn't care what day you worship him. He doesn't care if you cut your hair. He doesn't care if you wear pants, ladies. He doesn't care about any of that. He solely wants your heart. So if you would just humble yourself, cry out to God, tell him that you know that he was born of a virgin, that he walked a sinless life, that he died on that cross, was buried, and rose 3 days later, that he now sits at the right hand of God in heaven. If you will ask him to come into your heart and to forgive you for your sins, he'll do it. He'll create in you a new creation. Once you've done that, join a good church, a Bible believing, Holy Spirit filled church. Get into your Bible, study it. Start your rabbit holes in the Bible, end your rabbit holes in the Bible, because the information's out there. And baby, when I tell you Jesus said that men will die of heart attacks for what they see, he wasn't lying. He was not lying to you, because the stuff that I'm finding, the pictures I'm looking at, these are horrific beings that were created on this earth, and they're doing it again. They tell you they can. I showed it to you yesterday. Peter Thiel with his biotech, bioengineered babies. Come on now, friends and family. They didn't come up with that technology solely to change your child's hair color. What? Really? Nobody believes that. Well, thank you for your time. Have an amazing day. I've got some stuff I got to go take care of, but I love you. Thank you for being here with me.